sexy. Put that back on. I like to watch.
I can't even see. Oh, there it is.
Hey,
There we go.
there we go. This is going to play well on the premium feed.
Take your shirt off.
Are we streaming? Are we live?
We're both. We're live and streaming. Oh, something protruding from your neck.
That's
Wait,
headphones.
Headphones. This is my setup. It's super fancy. So that's what I was going to use.
Ah, yes. There's some nice looking headphones with a microphone attached.
And instead, I've got this hooked up to that
Ah,
at full cable.
so basically like a microphone. What the hell are you doing? So basically, like a mobile phone headset.
Yeah, pretty much. And using the camera microphone because it's a bit better than
Ah, nice. So there you go, people. That's why
yes.
we
The
sound
magic.
the way we sound. The magic, the peek behind the curtain.
This is why our levels don't work, and that's my terrarium.
Hey, we should put a picture of that up on the page.
That can be our photo for the week.
The week photo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are listening to this. You are welcome to the Calmer Iguana, the pop culture club for the modern ladies and the gentlemen. In today's episode, the hot take will be on Titanfall 2. We'll get through some of what's been happening with the recent releases of video games, some news coming out of BlizzCon and other things in general, and we'll go through what we've been doing in the last 7 days. But before we get into that, my name's Paddy G. I am joined by a gentleman who is, how do I say this? He is a pure delight to work with. It's Ev.
Oh, Patty.
Oh.
Oh,
And another gentleman, and how do I say this? It's Wilson.
Less of a delight. So we've downgraded our listenership from decent humans to ladies and gentlemen.
It went discerning, then decent, and now they're just people.
Well, people are people.
Well, I mean, look,
yeah.
I think it sort of goes sort of in a trajectory of decent or discerning, decent people than iguanas, and I think iguanas is where we really want everyone to be when they're listening to this.
Yeah, swings and roundabouts.
When in
And
Rome.
iguanas.
And iguanas. Did anyone see that video of the
Yeah.
the baby
I
iguana?
was just going to mention that actually. That was an amazing video. I loved it.
Yeah, and no one knew that the BBC did that especially for us for our show.
Who? There were so many snakes.
There were so many snakes.
Like, if you saw that many snakes, like you would shit yourself.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, in the Australian desert, if you park your car to open a gate, the snakes will just come at your car to try and get under the shade because it's so hot out there. So you'll just like see all these snakes coming towards you. That's the closest thing I could imagine to that video.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's quite like that.
Well, I do.
Well, we'll take your lead on it, Ev. You've probably seen. Have you seen a snake?
Many. Yeah, lots. I've even stepped on one or two before. They're not too bad. They're a little creepy, but you kind of get used to seeing them around.
I remember getting home from a bike ride and with my back tire flat, and finding a snake's tooth embedded in the tire.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Far out.
riding that bike shaft down from Belair to Panorama's been intense.
That's pretty. I like to imagine that the snake was like, yes, here we go, prey, dinner, I'm sorted, and then like latched on, and then it was just like being spun around. It's like it's attached to your back wheels going.
Yeah.
And eventually its fangs broke off, and it was just like, oh god, that was That was
Yeah.
intense.
You reckon a brown snake
And
could
then-
eat a person? They're not that big, and they can't exactly rip and tear like a lion.
They probably wouldn't eat you. No.
Rip and tear. It's a good phrase. I like rip and
Yeah.
Who's up for a bit of rip and tear?
With a big old brown snake.
Oh God.
Oh.
Is that just a big old brown snake? Are you happy to see me?
I'm practicing the
Yes.
mic technique that I picked up from Jerry Hawkins at PAX this year,
Ah.
where you turn away from the mic whenever you're not talking.
That's a good idea. It's very chocolate rain of you, where you move away from the mic to breathe.
Yes.
Ev,
Yes.
speaking of big brown snakes, what have you been doing? What have you been up to?
Been a little bit of a busy week. Went and saw Bill Bailey on Monday, doing his Australian Larks in Transit tour. It was 2 hours of quite good comedy. Anyone who's ever seen Bill Bailey, I highly recommend him as a live act. He's fantastic and good for audience participation as well. So he gets everyone involved. He doesn't usually single out just one or two people. So, yeah, that was Monday. And
pretty
then
good.
from there, it's been a little bit
downhill
busy, I
slope.
guess. I haven't really done much new.
Okay.
Looking at playing Dishonored 2 when I can get it to run. So it appears to be a bit buggy. So I'm hoping to have tested that out before next week's hot take.
Nice. What's the bugs you're getting?
Well, for me personally, it won't go past the main title screens. It crashes to desktop. That's probably just a program conflict on my end here, I think. But reading quite a few reviews as well, it sounds like it is. It's got a few running problems and definitely needs a patch sometime soon. It's only been out 2 days, I think, so there's time.
Have you updated your drivers?
Yeah, actually, I was doing that earlier, so it's probably that. I might even be due for a new graphics card now, so this might be the one that does it.
It's always a problem when I got Battlefield 4 and that wouldn't launch. The guy was like, "Have you updated your drivers?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't updated my drivers because that makes my PC crash." But then I got it working eventually. This is why you should always stick to consoles.
Yeah.
Well,
But anyway, so that's pretty much my week. What about you, Paddy?
what have I been doing? More baby prep, I guess. Lots of
Is it green?
Is it what? Sorry?
Baby crap.
No, prep.
Oh, prep.
Yes. Preparation.
Oh, not craparation.
No preparation. That's to come, I'm sure.
I thought you were asking if the baby itself was green. I was like, well, I mean, of course, it's an iguana.
Yeah.
What other color would it be?
That's right. All newborn iguanas are a shade of green.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting the final touches together, I guess, for his room and everything in there, his bed and that sort of stuff. So that's, I guess, just all very exciting. Played a lot of My Summer Car, and I was tempted to put it down on the list as my hot take, but
Good.
and I might do that still, but I was going to do like a bit of a weekly update because I'd been struggling with it a little bit. I'd been trying to put the car together, because I think I've spoken about this in the past couple of weeks. The whole thing is you have a kit or a car. You're putting the car together from parts to build it brand new again, eventually to update it and then sort of drive it at a racetrack. But everything you got to do around it, because there's I guess money. You have to have, money is a constraint. You have to buy parts, so you have to do jobs. Some of the jobs include emptying septic tanks and delivering firewood, and the physics in the game. I'm still not sure whether it's purposefully horrible or they are still working on the physics, because it's been interesting to say the least.
Are they going for a like Surgon? Are they
Surgon.
going for a surgeon simulator type vibe with the physics and the controls?
I don't think they are. I think they're trying to sort of like provide a realistic, if I put that sort of in quotation marks, sort of approach. Like the car definitely has a lot of realism to it, or the parts that go into it when you're making it. You need to align your wheels. You need to have your brake lines properly connected. You need to have your clutch in properly. There's a carburetor. You need to have the carburetor sort of finely tuned, so that way you're not so you get the mix just right. It's not too lean. It's not too rich. You need to tune the valves. So there's a lot, I guess, of realism in how the car sort of works. So I don't think they're going for like a surgeon simulator style thing, but the other vehicles in the game are kind of, some of them sort of seem either ridiculously overpowered, or the physics of the tires sort of meeting the road or the bitumen or the dirt sort of track. Kind of seems a bit sort of crazy. You turn on. There's a big sort of American style muscle car. It's an automatic. You put it into drive and try to take off on a dirt track, and you just fishtail everywhere. Which I imagine, there's a degree of realism in there, but it just makes it impossible. And sometimes you get stuck in a ditch, like you're trying to control the car, get it on the road, it goes off the road, gets into a ditch, or gets sort of wedged between two trees, and then you can't get out. So there have been multiple times where I've had to quit the game and go back in to try to get things running again. It's been sort of frustrating, but I've got the car finished, which has been sort of, I felt there was a real accomplishment to it. So I think maybe next week I'll give a little bit more of an update around some of what I've been, what I've been doing with that car. Because you can paint it, you can customize it, but there's a lot of downtime. You have to manage your thirst and your tiredness and your hunger and your dirtiness. Somehow I can't figure out my dirtiness, though. I can't figure how to get clean. There's a sauna.
Have a shower.
Well, the shower doesn't work properly. There's like
Fix a shower.
No. It's like you can't stand under it and take a shower. The tap doesn't work. But there
That's
is
it's European. Have you ever, like, whenever you travel, the showers in foreign countries are always fucked?
Well, yes, yeah, no, I have experienced that.
Yeah.
But I think the idea in the game is that you have to
Wash yourself, just like in life.
Yes. No, you have to use a sauna. It's set in Finland, so they're like, here's a sauna. Use the
you
sauna.
clean yourself by getting sweaty and then rolling in the mud.
Well, aren't you supposed to roll around in the snow to get clean?
Well, it's summer.
Yeah, because it's my summer car.
Yeah. So you roll in the dust.
My bad.
Yes, different time of the year. But the only other thing I've been playing is some Hearthstone. Been getting back into that. Very surface level, I guess. Got a few new cards. I'm a bit out of the loop with all the cards that have come and gone. It's probably been a good 2 years since I've really sort of played Hearthstone. So had a couple of wins during the week, which for me is something. But yeah, so that's about everything I've been doing. Wilson.
Hey.
What have you been doing?
Not much. Went along to PAX last weekend. Caught a couple of shows there. Learned to play Call of Cthulhu, which was fun. Paddy, you were there, so I don't need to tell you. But Josh, we were playing Call of Cthulhu, and there weren't enough seats at the table, and there was one guy there who took it very seriously. So we didn't want to upset him, so I gave up my seat, and me and Paddy decided to play as a 60-year-old widow who had multiple personalities. So Paddy would take a turn, and then I would take a turn. And of course, we were giggling hysterically the whole time, and really annoying the hell out of the guy who was like taking it super seriously and role playing and putting on a voice for, but we were putting on a really serious voice, like hello. I mean, a really silly voice, like hello there, we're ladies, you see. But this guy, he was really role playing a serious like detective from from like America's like noir era. So yeah, it was quite fun.
That was good fun, yeah.
We ended up like convincing another guy to throw a boiling pot of like tea at this Shoggoth or whatever, and then we ran downstairs and called the priest who shut himself. But we won. We did win the encounter.
We did win.
Aside from that, after PAX, I got a few games at PAX. I got Ultimate Drinking Quest, which you'll be introduced to at New Year's Eve, Josh, and
Excellent.
And also another game called Haiku Warrior, which looks to be quite interesting. We'll probably play that over New Year's, and we'll be able to give a hot take to the audience, along with that and Pandemic Legacy. Saw a couple of shows, one about the Call of Cthulhu, which is what inspired us to go and play it, and one show about Legacy games, which was interesting and really got me fired up to play Pandemic Legacy and actually play it like a Legacy game this time instead of just vanilla Pandemic. And then after PAX, played a fair bit of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which was surprisingly good. Like, you'll hear in my hot take today how impressed I was by Titanfall 2, and but Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, even after playing Titanfall 2, it was actually a really, really good game with an awesome story. Probably the best Call of Duty story since Black Ops 2 or even Modern Warfare 2. Excellent gameplay. The guns, I don't like the energy weapons very much. I wish they had more stuff like gunpowder-based weapons, more stuff based on what we use today rather than energy weapons, but aside from that, just really, really well put together game. Unfortunately, there was one bug which was preventing me from flying the air-to-air missions, which are selectable side quests, which just consist of a battle in your fighter jet. Easily the best part of the game, but the bug was causing my my game to crash or glitch out every time I tried to play an air-to-air mission. Got that fixed, finished those, and then went on to finish the game, and overall really impressed by it.
What was the fix?
I turned on the colorblind filter and then turned off the colorblind filter.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did play a whole lot of missions with all the reds looking pink. So there was one mission there was a lot of lava and it was very pink, but then I turned that colorblind filter off and everything switched back to red and it was working again, which was great.
It's bizarre that I guess should be the case, that it would take a fix like that. I mean, at least there's a workaround, and like you mentioned, it's their optional side quest sort of things to do. But they're the best part of the game. So I mean, people were worried that the getting in your fighter and taking off and flying up into space would be a gimmick and you wouldn't actually have that much control over it. But your fighter jet stuff is really, really well integrated between your... Like, the makers have obviously seen the movie Gravity. Yeah.
So there's a lot of outdoor stuff wearing a spacesuit, jetting around, and jetpacking. That hasn't been implemented as well as it was in Dead Space 2 and 3. But still done quite well. That's really well integrated with your on-foot combat and then your fighter jet combat as well. Like, you'll seamlessly transmission. You'll fly into an area. You'll jump out of your aircraft. You'll jetpack over to an enemy carrier. You'll board it. You'll enter it and shoot your way through. Jump out the bridge again. Get into your aircraft and then fly away as it explodes in the background. Like,
pretty cool.
Really well done.
Yeah.
That's about all that I've been doing. I played a bit of Dishonored 2 last night and this morning. It's pretty good. I started off playing non-lethally, but then decided that the story would encourage the character I'm playing as to play very lethally, so I restarted this morning on hard and just started cutting heads and slitting throats.
Yeah, I find Dishonored's like that. Even the first one, you start out and you're like, right, this is the game, I'm not going to kill anyone. 20 minutes in, you're like, shoot him.
No, I played Dishonored 1 completely non-lethally and was fine with that, but then in this, no spoilers, but I'm playing as the Empress, and stuff that happens to her, it's just like, well, fuck these guys, I'm gonna fucking cut their throats. There's no reason for me for this person to play this non-lethally at this point. So just role-playing rather than playing how I would like to.
Yeah.
I guess there's a fine line, I call it, between your enjoyment as to whether you role play something or whether you play a character as intended, especially in a game like that. It's quite easy in a Elder Scrolls series or something like that to go, okay, well, sure, the whole thing is role play. Like, what do you want to be? In a game like that, like, what's going to provide you more enjoyment is
story satisfaction or gameplay satisfaction. Like,
exactly.
Are you going to get a satisfaction from seeing this like underdog princess cut her tormentor's throat, or like would you get more satisfaction from knocking him out and I don't know,
having your way with him?
Yeah.
So just a quick thing you mentioned briefly about legacy games. I wanted to touch on that. It was a really good session at PAX about legacy games, and I guess for listeners, legacy games, you may have heard of Pandemic Legacy. It's the style of game that I guess continues. There's now a Risk Legacy, and there are a couple of other ones. I think there was was it
Seafall?
Seafall, that's the one. Yeah, I guess the style is you have a play session, and everything that happens in that session is permanent, I guess. The next time you all catch up to play your next session of that game, that board game, the consequences from the last game carry over. So once you've played all the scenarios, all the play sessions, if you have 10 or 15 or so sessions out of a game, basically the game's over. It's an interesting concept that's becoming more and more prevalent, I guess.
I'd like to see a Mansions of Madness legacy game where the psychoses that you get induced on you carry over from game to game. That would be pretty cool.
That would be really cool, yeah. So, how about we pick up the pace and have a look at the hot take for the week? Wilson.
So over the last couple of weeks, I've spent a fair amount of time playing Titanfall 2, and I've got to say that I'm very impressed. Since the split of the creators of Call of Duty from Infinity Ward and Activision following the release of Modern Warfare 2, people have come to expect a negligible single-player experience out of AAA first-person shooters, and a super short experience that is barely a tutorial for multiplayer. It's certainly the case with recent releases such as Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Changes in the air though. Much like Doom released earlier this year, Titanfall has put some serious thought behind its single player, presenting gameplay that is probably on par with Doom, but with a story and level of spectacle that, first person shooters haven't really released since Modern Warfare 2. While this game has some rough edges due to its status as a second-tier FPS from EA when held next to Battlefield 1, the art style of the game is amazing and executed with an awesome flair. Let's say this, I'd much more rather spend time looking at art from Titanfall 2 than Battlefield 1 any day. I mentioned spectacle before, and I wasn't kidding around. While Battlefield 1 might have you ride a blimp, Titanfall 2 has you wall run between rebel spaceships while they are chasing a corporate capital ship at nearly supersonic speeds. If that's not enough spectacle, Titanfall has you running into a nuclear explosion that has frozen in time mid-detonation, and that's before you even talk about the Titan combat. Between the wall running and the other features provided by this game, Titanfall pushes the boundary of what's possible in an FPS by stressing innovation. Originally, Titanfall 2 was due to have a stock standard first-person shooter campaign. However, mid-development, Respawn Studios came to their senses and realized that a standard campaign would be dry and boring and not do the gameplay they developed justice. Following that, they stressed innovation. Respawn created sub-teams to develop the most innovative set pieces they were able to, which would then be stitched together into a cohesive whole. To me, that was the best thing that they could have done. Because unlike Gears of War, which was just one battle against 15 to 20 enemies in an area filled with waist-high barrier after waist-high barrier, each level in Titanfall 2 feels like a brand new experience. Each introduces a brand new mechanic, whether it's fighting within a house as it's being constructed by an assembly line, or wall running over an infinite void, or bouncing around like Nightcrawler. While this lack of a cohesive thought can impact on the story a little, the short, sharp changes didn't really allow you to dwell on it. I barely noticed the issues because I was simply having way too much fun. In short, Titanfall 2 is an amazing single-player experience which I thoroughly recommend anyone with an interest in science fiction shooters, mechs, or even just fun to pick up.
Thanks. Insightful. It really does sound like Titanfall 2 is almost sort of surprise of the year in how good it is for... I guess you call it in your review there, your hot take, sort of second tier. It's kind of a bit of an injustice to call it second tier, but I guess it's kind of what it is.
Well, you see some like issues down at very detailed levels, like character face animations, in that there are none. Everyone's covered by a helmet. You know, they clearly haven't put as much money into it as Battlefield 1, so you have to call it second tier because Battlefield 1 is first tier. Yeah, I mean, after the release of Titanfall 1, which was just a campaign that was just the single-player maps stitched together with some voice dialogue over them, the single-player in this was really, really surprising and really, really innovative.
Does it feel like this one was rushed to release? Because it seems like it's rather soon after the first Titanfall. So I guess that was launched, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago. No, it seems like it was a good amount of time. Like, we've been anticipating it for a while, so, and it doesn't feel like, there hasn't been enough work done into it. Like, again, feels really, really good. They, again, I say that they probably haven't spent as much money on it as Battlefield 1, but it's a lot prettier than Battlefield 1 is, that's for damn sure. Even though they haven't, polished it as much with character animations, etc.
I guess it's saying an awful lot as well, because Battlefield 1's art design, I guess, is probably, I would say it's probably its strongest point. In Battlefield 1 was a really good offering this year from EA, from the Battlefield franchise. It doesn't set the world on fire, but, story was sort of okay. Its multiplayer is its multiplayer. It's what it is every year. But its graphics are probably the highlight of it. So I guess it's a big kudos to Titanfall 2 to say that they're sort of more standout-ish.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many games have you seen a blown-up French village in the middle of a world war in? Like,
yeah.
As opposed to Titanfall 2, where you've got these lush, like, huge vistas with, like, massive rocks floating in the air for some reason. Like, it's truly imaginative art style, like, in terms of how they've built these. Or the entire game seems to take place on one planet, and that planet is really weird and really beautiful. So, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, again, I say a game like Battlefield 1 is kind of constrained to its format. You're stuck doing these earthly vistas, so they've only gone as far as you can do on Earth, whereas this game allows you to do a lot more.
Yeah, this one's probably a little outside my depth. I didn't play the original Titanfall. And Titanfall 2, I've certainly seen some interesting shots online and small videos. But it's kind of strange, actually. It doesn't... Battlefield 1, I guess, is really getting a lot of the airtime. So you see more short GIFs of Battlefield 1 play than you do for Titanfall 2.
I think comparing it again to Battlefield 1, I felt more for my mech than I did for Captain Price. No, what was the name of that Aussie dude's name?
Oh, the young
That's
kid.
how much you care.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Battlefield Titanfall 1 has, really... even though it's held back by this short scenario to short scenario story, and they don't really dwell on the conspiracy, I guess you'd call it, long enough to really dig into it because you're off doing something else almost immediately. They do manage to build the relationship between the Titan and the pilot so well that you actually feel really bad for people when stuff happens. That's another thing that comes out in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare as well, is that like you feel a lot for one of the robot characters in that more than you do in any of the guys in Battlefield 1. Yeah, it's just really well put together game.
It's interesting because you mentioned Titanfall, the original, which I think again it was innovative for its time, and I say its time, it was 2 to 3 years ago, and I think it was a genuine attempt from Respawn to change the first person sort of shooter, to change the game, to have war has changed.
Well, those guys, Vince and Zambella, they basically invented the modern shooter with Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. And now, they left and formed Respawn and kind of changed the game, like you said. And Call of Duty's just been imitating Titanfall for the last 3 years with Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and Infinite Warfare with the futuristic and wall setting and wall running and double jump and stuff like that.
Mm. But it's been, I guess, disheartening somewhat that the public probably hasn't taken to the original Titanfall perhaps as much. I think there was a bit of a gap in the market when the original Titanfall sort of came out, and it was being an Xbox One exclusive as well. I think you sort of limited your player base somewhat, but the players sort of didn't stick around with it. I think it did have its downsides, the original Titanfall. I'm glad that they made a second one. I'm looking forward to playing it. I'm looking forward to playing it myself. But it's, I guess, is there any room? Obviously, they, some of the polish at the lower levels was missing. Because they don't have quite the budget, things being thrown into Battlefield 1.
Well, just let me clarify. I say polish is missing at the lower levels. That's when compared to something like Battlefield 1. Compared to any other first-person shooter that's come out this year, it's probably one of the best-looking games this year. You have to call it second tier compared when, Battlefield 1 was produced by EA, and it was obviously a lot more spent on that.
Oh, yeah, no. And I don't mean that in a derogatory term. But it's just more, I guess, the reality of it. It is probably operating on, reduced funds when compared even to, Infinite Warfare. It's just considering what it does, what it's created. I think it's a standout sort of showpiece. I hope that the player base kind of can grow because it's a good game.
I think. Maybe there could be a new room or a new genre in first-person shooters, that kind of semi-B tier that focuses on action and gameplay in a single-player environment like Doom and now Titanfall. But Titanfall is obviously a multiplayer-focused game, but yeah, there is room there for this kind of 6-hour, really tight, really well-thought-out game experience, I think, in the market.
Cool. Well, why don't we take a quick break?
Okay.
And throw to our sister podcast.
Hey Bat fans, it's the Dad Knight here, coming to you from the Batcave. Join the Just Us League with Red Thunder, The Probe, LL Cool Elder, and myself as we bring you weekly videocasts reviewing all the latest comic book shows like Gotham, Supergirl, Arrow, The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow, plus all the latest comic book movies and much, much more. Head over to www.frombatcave.com for all the info and links to find our episodes. That's www.frombatcave.com. Hope to see you there, Bat fans.
Welcome back to Calmer Iguana, the Calmer Iguana... Wait.
No, this is good.
Welcome back to Calmer Iguana, the Calmer Iguana
podcast. Do it like that.
Okay. Welcome back to Calmer Iguana, your podcast for all your calm iguana needs.
Ooh,
Did you just say Calm Iguana?
Calm Iguana? Yeah.
calm iguana.
Nice.
That's what that baby iguana was in that video. He was a calm
He
iguana.
was. He didn't run. He hid, and he stood very still, and that meant he survived. He was a smart iguana.
He
was
was.
a badass.
He was a badass. He got like
Yeah.
engulfed by a number of snakes, and then it was like, oh no! And then he like broke free, and it was like, fuck this, I'm out.
It was like Saturday night at the Bugaki Buddy. Engulfed by a number of snakes.
Oh, except there's no escaping that snake dead. So, how about some news?
Yes.
So
How about some?
that's
Save us news. Oh, goodness. Some of the big news in the last week, there is a new Wonder Woman trailer. Gentlemen, thoughts? We've just viewed it in the studio here. Ev, what do you think?
Again, DC's not really my thing. I think Wilson, this is probably more your forte. Looks good, looks exciting, and they've made her really powerful. But I can't help but wonder if this will be they sort of show them as being unbeatable in the first one, and then dial it back from there. So I'm sure this one will be great, but I'll be a bit reserved in future, I guess. When she's out there with Aquaman and the others, they'll probably tone down all their powers just a little bit. Otherwise, they're too overpowered.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this might be a case of third time is the third coffin in the trailer. What? Third trailer in the coffin,
what?
maybe?
Start
after, the Dawn of Justice League trailer came out and everyone was like, yeah, Batman, and everyone saw the movie and were like, whoa, Batman. And then Suicide Squad trailer came out and everyone was like, yeah, Harley Quinn. And then the movie came out and everyone was like, ooh, Harley Quinn.
Harlequin.
And now, the Wonder Woman trailer comes out and everyone's like, is the movie really gonna live up to the trailer? Because you've screwed us twice. What's that they say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, you fooled me 3 times, one too many times.
Yeah, that's what Grandma used to say.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I didn't even bother seeing Suicide Squad. Well, actually, no, I haven't seen any of these DC movies at the cinema. So I haven't even I didn't see Suicide Squad at the cinema, or I haven't even seen it at all. And I only saw Batman vs Superman on DVD, the Masters version of it, after it came out. So DC's never really been that much of a thing for me. I'm more of a Marvel fanboy for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think we're probably a Marvel-heavy
Yes.
podcast here, I
We
guess.
leave the DC stuff up to our sister podcast at
Over at the Batcave.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cut it.
No, look, it's watching the trailer. It looks good. I mean, look, yeah, I don't know the first thing really about any sort of anything in DC, to be perfectly honest. Batman's probably the only thing I know anything on. So I presume from the trailer this is some sort of an origin sort of story.
Some sort of trailer about a woman who's got superpowers.
Some sort of woman who is wonderful.
Wonderful. Or wondrous.
Or wondrous. Or...
Yeah. Speaking of her being wondrous, I mean, I don't know if it's just because I have unrealistic body standards, female body standards, but because I hang out with ladies who do CrossFit so much, I was looking at her biceps and I was just like, hang on, she looks, sure, she's very thin, but she doesn't look like a warrior woman. Like, she looks nothing like Ronda Rousey or or another female UFC person, or Catherine David's daughter, or Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet. You know, these are what warrior women would look like. I mean, you wouldn't cast Ezra Miller as Batman. You'd cast him as the Flash. Wonder Woman is supposed to be this powerful, muscly woman, and they cast this, like, supermodel as her, which is kind of, you know, it's not respecting your fan base, and it's not respecting the character, I don't think.
But
it's funny when you mention that, actually, because I think it's there's a lot of potential to have a really good female action hero, and yet it's always the same thing. There's always these really thin, you know, non-muscular women. They sort of, you see them run, they don't even run properly. Like, it gets immersion breaking, I guess, when you see them taking on all these big guys and they're winning, but that's only because it's scripted in a way. Whereas I think they don't really do themselves any favors. They should get someone in there who's athletic and looks capable. I think they'd have a fantastic movie.
And it's not like she has to be super bulky like a bodybuilder or super muscly like a CrossFitter. She just, you know, she just has to have some sort of tone and look like she is capable of handling herself. I mean, and it's not even like Hollywood doesn't have those type of leading ladies. I mean, Jessica Biel is amazing, and Jennifer Garner as well. She's tried the superhero thing, which was really bad, but you know, she shows off that you can be a fit-looking lady in Hollywood and still get a modicum of success. They should really use this opportunity to cast a lady and try and present a more positive female body image out there.
Well, you look at all the effort they put into someone like Chris Pratt, who obviously he wasn't very, you know, athletically built or physically fit when he was doing Parks and Rec. And then, you know, they put the time and effort in and get him all buffed up, ready for Guardians of the Galaxy and CrossFit, Jurassic Park and all those other movies. So it's not like they don't already do it with the male counterparts.
Yeah. There's also Ray, you know, like you talk about strong female sort of like, you know, action sort of types. Ray from, I can't remember the actress's name now, from The Force Awakens. She's not necessarily the most built sort of warrior woman looking sort of woman, but she's certainly got enough sort of you know, about her to, you know, make her a, you know, the, you know, an action star type.
Yep.
So yeah,
like she did physically alter her body for that role. She said that she wanted to look like a desert scavenger who wasn't eating that much, but was still doing physical activity, which I think she pulled off quite well. You know, for someone to get heaps bulky, they need to do a lot of exercise and eat a lot of food. Whereas to pull off the body type that Rey had in Force Awakens, you need to do a lot of exercise and not eat that much food, which is what her character would have done.
Yeah. But I think it goes to show, you know, that this is something that you can do and that is, you know, is possible. No, I think, unfortunately, you have your comic book fan base, I guess I'll call them, that would probably appreciate a character or an actress, I should say, like that does, you know, does have that definition, that size, really lives up to what the comic books sort of had, and does it justice.
Well, Wonder Woman's never really been a waif. Like, you know, you've got your kitty prides and your rogues who are that skinny type of comic book hero, but Wonder Woman's always been quite muscly alongside Captain Marvel.
Oh, certainly, no doubt. But I think the other side of it is that this is Hollywood doing what Hollywood does. You know, they want to make money, so they want a pretty girl in relatively revealing sort of stuff to draw in the crowds. I don't say it's necessarily the right thing, but it's what Hollywood does. You know,
I wouldn't really say that Jessica Biel's not a pretty girl.
No.
And she would be quite capable of pulling off, you know, looking like she can kick some ass.
Oh, certainly. It's, you know, it's whatever the studio heads, I guess, decide. I agree wholeheartedly. You know, they could have, I think, you know, we're passing judgment without having, you know, having seen a trailer. But certainly, like, you know, you sort of look at, there is a plethora of viable actresses and archetypes that they could have sort of thrown in. So time will tell. We'll see the movie, I guess.
Whoever acts like Gal Gadot, having been in the Israeli army, is some sort of like action hero cred for her. But Like
Yeah.
everyone had to be in the Israeli army, so yeah. I will say one thing though, she did look good walking up that ladder in the first trailer.
New Wonder Woman trailer. When's the movie out? Do we know?
Josh?
Good question. Honestly, I'm probably not going to go see it myself. Not in cinemas anyway.
Yes,
just
why would we
checking.
see a movie about a woman?
It's not that.
No.
It's
you see
exactly like Wilson was saying
Yes.
before, really. Like, you feel like you've been burnt enough times. Maybe it's a good movie, but Batman vs Superman I saw well and truly after it finished in cinemas. And I spent most of that movie just sort of wondering why I was actually still sitting there watching it. So...
Oh, look, no. And I jest. I mean, it's not the subject matter at all. I think it really is. I'm probably on the same lines as you.
Burn me 3 times.
It's, yeah, I was genuinely excited for Suicide Squad. I never saw it, but, you wait for reviews to come out, you let sort of, people see it, and you sort of hear what sort of a letdown it was, and you sort of, you sort of scratch your head and you go, well, like they had so much, that it could have been, and then to see it sort of fall down, yeah. So no, I agree. I'll probably be giving it a miss myself as well.
Save your money and see Captain Marvel instead.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, when I heard Ronda Rousey was interested in playing Captain Marvel, and then they got Alison Brie to play it, they made the same mistake by casting a non-fighter in that role.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how Alison Brie trains up for that role.
Yeah. Well, Wonder Woman releases on the 2nd of June, I believe, is the date that's coming up here. So, 2017.
When's Guardians out? I wonder.
The new Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be 5th of May, 2017. So it's got a month lead.
Good.
But we'll probably, I'd say it would have a lot better opening anyway.
Yeah. Well, wasn't Guardians like one of the biggest openers for a long time? And then
Yeah.
Oh.
It was, and Doctor Strange was quite a strong one as well. So I think DC, I still don't think they're going to have their Marvel beater. I don't think it's going to happen in this generation of movies.
Well, I think they're winning on the network TV and the video games front at the very least, and probably not winning on the Netflix and movie front.
Well, actually,
fun.
speaking of Netflix and Marvel, it sounds like they're looking at doing a Ghost Rider Netflix series. So,
Starring Nicolas
in
Cage?
their Netflix original content.
Can it have Nicolas Cage in it?
I don't think Ghost Rider 2 didn't have Nicolas Cage in it, did it?
No, it did. Didn't have what's her face in it though.
He was the motorcycle.
They just injected him in Botox and so onto the other items of news. BlizzCon is a convention hosted by Blizzard, a little indie video game developer that you may not have heard about. They've produced a few small games such as Diablo, StarCraft, and something called World of Warcraft, which I believe allows players to play in a multiple user dimension type of thing, maybe a kind of a MUD.
So a sort of multiple players online at the one time.
Yeah, almost. You have it right there, and they also roleplay while they're doing that.
Oh wow!
That never took off, did it? I don't really remember hearing anything about that.
And
I think MMOs sort of died relatively quickly. I don't think there was really any presence in the market.
kind of
No,
lost
I mean,
history,
we all
like-
know that PC gamers are reclusive people, much preferring single player and strategy games like Monopoly and Scrabble.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Board games on the PC. That's the way of the future. So we spoke a bit about BlizzCon a couple of weeks ago at the last podcast. Had a few predictions about how Diablo might change. And yeah, some news has come out. I only really paid attention to the Diablo news coming out of BlizzCon, and that was the announcement that a new class was coming and a new expansion pack called Rise of the Necromancers, I believe. And obviously, if you can't tell from the name, the new class is going to be a necromancer coming back after being absent from Diablo 3, but being a huge character in Diablo 2. This guy is coming along, and yeah, he's going to be a necromancer. Originally, the Witch Doctor was supposed to be the necromancer type in Diablo 3, but people have been, or Blizzard had come out and said, the Witch Doctor's more of a whimsical character, lives in a jungle, gets his powers from voodoo and spirits, whereas this necromancer is supposed to be like this much darker, more unholy magic type character, which will, change up the gameplay from the Witch Doctor a little bit.
I thought you were going to say...
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Similarly, I didn't get into Diablo till Diablo 3. Sort of, I guess, late to the party, but it was good fun. It was good fun. I thought you were going to say the Witch Doctor. He lives in the jungle. He gets his powers from bananas. It's like that's true, but yeah.
And I think the biggest news was that they're going to be remaking the original Diablo 1 with the Diablo 3. I don't know if it's a remake just in the engine, or it's like they've remade the campaign, but you can use the characters and skills from Diablo 3. That would be much cooler.
I think that's the proposed sort of, I guess, it's more of an expansion. It's the campaign. They will, I guess, have, however, I have heard in places the ability to do the graphical swap over.
Yep.
So like playing the Halo collection.
Instead of the My Little Pony Diablo type of gameplay of rainbows and love hearts, you go back to that more Diablo 1 darker, upside down crosses and demons.
Yeah. Didn't they do that? Isn't Diablo 1 available through Diablo 3 at the moment?
Sure.
Wasn't that part of, you could access it, I believe, through a portal in one of the main towns? Was that the idea?
Potentially.
So
maybe.
I'm just fact checking that one right now, because I thought that it should be available. Oh god.
I never played Diablo 2. I was a big fan of Diablo 1, and then saw Diablo 2 at a friend's house and said, I don't like you or your family, so I'm not going to play Diablo 2. And then
it's good reasoning.
Diablo 3 came out, and I got to play it with all of you guys, and that was really cool. So I'm excited to see Diablo 1 again. That was a really great game.
I started with 2. I didn't ever play 1, so I'm looking forward to getting into it and seeing what that part of the story was.
Any other news coming out of BlizzCon there, Josh?
For BlizzCon itself, there was a few pieces. Basically, each one of their headline titles are getting a little bit of love. There's a new Hearthstone expansion coming out. There's some new characters for StarCraft, new characters for Overwatch. There's no Diablo 4, I'm sorry to say. That got squashed quite early on. They said they're not working on a new Diablo. But all up, it's less brand new whole title content and a lot more smaller items, I guess. A little bit of attention for all their headliners.
Yeah. Be interested to see their new the new Overwatch character. I guess what the fan uptake on the character is and how it gets received, and if it plays as well as the characters they have now. Similarly with the Hearthstone expansion, the Mean Streets of Gadgetstan. A whole new bunch of cards. I guess nothing that was nothing really out of the ordinary or new sort of there. Just more content. Hopefully, I'll be able to get into some of that content through some more Hearthstone sort of playthroughs. So we'll see how everything sort of looks. But yeah, like you say, Ev, no new news, just a few pieces here and there for their existing titles.
It felt like the Necromancer was the biggest announcement they had. After day one, BlizzCon announcements, I really didn't see anything much that grabbed my attention, I guess.
No, same. Any other news? Is there anything else coming up? What have we got, I guess, coming up in new releases for the next week?
We got the... well, as we spoke about before, we had Dishonored come out a couple of days ago. And then on the 15th, we have the Assassin's Creed Ezio collection, which is all the Assassin's Creed 2 games wrapped up into a bundle and re-released for the PS4 and Xbox One. Those were easily the strongest games in the Assassin's Creed lineup.
I'll be excited to play them.
Yeah. So if you haven't played them, be sure to pick that up. Watch Dogs 2 is Ubisoft's second attempt at remaking Assassin's Creed in the modern era. We've added hacking powers instead of assassin's powers, I guess.
Instead of throwing coins, you can hack things.
Yep. It's going to be set in San Francisco, and having just returned from San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, I'm really excited to play that and see some of the areas that I saw. I got a big kick out of seeing Santa Monica after seeing it so much in GTA 5, so should be exciting to see the Mission District and a few of my other favourite areas in San Francisco and Watch Dogs 2. Aside from that, not really much else for the rest of the week.
What do you mean? There's Roller Coaster Tycoon World and Planet Coaster on the 17th, 16th and 17th. That's pretty good. The other big thing, I think, is probably on the 18th, just before the end of the week. Pokemon Sun and Moon.
On the 3DS.
On that 3DS.
I got the last Pokemon this time last year on the 3DS. I'm like, what's all this Pokemon that these kiddies are playing these days? Never played a Pokemon game before in my life.
Yeah.
Played about maybe an hour of this Pokemon game, and I'm like, nope.
Aw, come on. Pokemon's is good. You want to catch your Pokemons? Get them to fight, get them to battle?
No, that's slavery.
That's not, no.
I'm not a...
You don't capture slaves in Pokeballs. You don't train them to fight them.
No, but you are enslaving these Pokemons. They should fight for you because they want to fight for you, not because they live in tiny balls.
It's not enslaving. It's more like dog fights.
Dog fights.
Yeah, well, dog fights.
Even better.
Yeah, good wholesome dog fights.
Good, clean fun, for the family.
There is some exciting stuff coming out the week after next, but we'll get into that next Sunday because we're running a bit over time.
We are a little bit, but yes, yeah. So, why don't we then, with those new releases out of the way, move into some emails? No?
Emails?
No one wants to.
Yeah.
No one's so keen. Everyone's kind of It's been a long week.
Emails is always the most exciting part of the show, where we get to hear from our listeners and provide some feedback, free form, just flow.
Just let it,
Let it flow. Much like after having too many of those Haribo sugar-free jellies.
Just let it flow.
Just let it flow.
The gummy bears.
The gummy bears.
The gummy guys.
So we have an email in from Gerard. He asks, if you can combine any two video game franchises, what would they be? He says that he wants to see a GTA-type game set in the Arkham universe, where if you get to 5 stars or 5 bats, you have to escape the Batman. And when you finish the game at 100%, you get to be the Batman and bust up the heists and crimes that other people do.
So
Heist is crimes.
Heist is crimes.
So for an entire game, your objective is to be a crime lord. Then, is potentially the objective is to be Joker or someone of that sort of ilk.
I reckon it'd be cool if Joker and someone of that sort of ilk existed in that universe, and you got to build a supervillain from a selection of powers, and you could like make design his own face and design his own like all that stuff, and you could select like you answer a few questions, and it auto generates the backstory for you, and then you build your way up like using the Nemesis system from Middle Earth, which was originally developed for a Batman game. You know, you use the Nemesis thing to maybe take over Black Mask's gang or the Joker's gang. So maybe you could even have those bad guys as bosses, where you fight them to take over their territory, and then defeat them, you get their territory, and the whole time you're dealing with the Batman.
Batman as well. I was actually just you mentioned it there. I was going to say my answer would have been if you could take two video games and combine them. Anything from the Arkham series and the Middle Earth Shadows of Mordor, because for that exact reason, because what it was going to be, having that Nemesis system with members of Joker's sort of Joker's underlings, it would have been amazing. But to your point, that sounds that would be a really interesting game, really good gameplay.
Well, I think that could be implemented well, like the character or the enemy randomization from Shadow of Middle Earth. Take that same engine, apply it to Batman villains, and you could come up with some really interesting bad guys for you to fight to take over territory, I reckon. So Ev, what two games would you like to see combined?
Well, this one got me thinking, so I've just flipped open my Steam library to have a quick look through, and I'm thinking Aliens versus Predator, mixed with
Farmville.
Terminator.
Yes, Farmville. No, I was actually looking through and thinking like an isometric turn-based battle system like Baldur's Gate or Wasteland, like Wasteland 2, Pillars of Eternity, that sort of thing. So that style, but in an AVP universe.
Oh yeah.
So you build up your squad isometric and fight through, corridors, etc., killing aliens.
You could be a squad of colonial marines, or a squad of predators, or a squad of aliens.
Aliens, yeah, something along those lines. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that does sound. It would remove some of the fear factor of aliens. So with falling off your chair when a facehugger hits you in the face for the first time, or something, having that slower paced gameplay.
I think it would a little bit, but I also think it would be useful if you have, say, range penalties.
Yeah.
And so you've got your unit, you move through, and an alien triggers and drops from a air duct or something. And, you're built for ranged combat. You've got your pulse rifle out, and all of a sudden there's this alien there. You've got to go, like, hand to hand. I think that it would be a different sort of fear. It wouldn't be the edge of your seat sort of stuff. But I'd definitely be nervous about a party wipe in that sort of environment.
So have you played Space Hulk at all?
No, actually, I've been keeping an eye on the new Space Hulk game, which is that actually out now?
It's coming out, I think it was either this week or next week, but it wasn't on our new releases that we just saw, so I'll have to look into that and let you know. But no, Space Hulk, the last couple were almost exactly what you said, where it's an isometric turn-based game. I'm sure it's only Space Marines versus Tyranids, which are basically aliens. But take that formula and apply it to Aliens versus Predators, so you have aliens rather than Tyranids, and then Predators rather than Eldar, and that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it's a really sort of winning formula. You've got I think, like you guys sort of mentioned, obviously the some of the fear from the, I guess I'll call them jump scares kind of moves, but I think you've to your point of you still have this constant fear of the unknown, what's going to happen, party wipes. You have in games like those sort of turn-based strategy sort of games, you have the fog of war, so you have the ability, I guess, as a game developer, as a game maker, designer, to really hide where the aliens are coming from. So I think that it would definitely be a really interesting game that you could still have the right level of fright in it, I guess.
Well, XCOM was always famous for being able to deliver that level of fear in a turn-based game.
Yeah.
And if you had XCOM style combat, being able to not fall in love, but like really like your squad of troops and name them after your friends, build them up over time, then maybe they could induce that fear of a whole party wipe, or based on the amount of time that you've put in for each of your members.
Yeah.
So, Paddy, have you got any more ideas on any two games that you'd like to combine?
I'm trying to think. Probably
Farmville
and
Farmville.
Pokemon. No.
Manhunt and Farmville.
Manhunt and Pokemon.
Poker Hunt.
Manmon. I don't know. I think something that combined purely, I guess this is relatively sort of selfish. It's sort of the kind of things that I enjoy, but something that combines your sort of simulated. I'll call it survival because that's probably a big sort of genre at the moment. Of you have to manage yourself in terms of not dying, keeping health up and stuff like that from your sort of the archetypes of your survival type sort of game. With in a sort of in sort of a fantasy sort of setting, I guess. So taking something perhaps not as in depth as Skyrim, but something that is sort of a fantasy ilk, but where you have to you're the guy or the girl in the village that's to become the hero. You have to sort of train on different things. You sort of do that sort of Elder Scrolls style of my basement is full of rats. Do odd jobs to sort of keep the town safe. The ultimate sort of boss, I guess, is a dragon that sort of comes in, but you have not just your life, your life meter to worry about, but sort of day to day you have thirst and hunger and sleep that you need to sort of be concerned about, and also building a shelter. You potentially you come across a village, you decide to set up sort of base there. You earn the trust of the villagers. You have to build your skills up. Eventually, save the town from a dragon or something. But having that kind of survival sort of mix in there, I think if you made it multiplayer as well, you'd probably create a really tough video game, because everyone knows when you introduce multiplayer, you introduce griefing. But yeah, maybe something like that.
What about have you ever played Dragon's Dogma?
No.
When they had that really in-depth like hunting system where you kind of have to, like, you say, all right, today I'm going troll hunting, so I'm going to equip my entire team out with weapons specifically designed to attack trolls. I'm going to climb up his leg and attack his shin bone and stuff like that. Like maybe, and then you specifically.
I'm glad you said shin bone, by the way.
Sorry.
I'm glad you said shin bone, by the way.
And then like or you like, I need this rock egg to make this omelet, so I'm going to go out and hunt rocks today. I reckon that could be really cool, and like have that sort of mechanic where you need this one sort of monster to thing, so you go hunting for this one sort of monster to.
Almost that Witcher style of like, this is the creature that I have to kill.
Yep.
This is what I have to get today. So what do I need?
Yep.
And that kind of stalking, understanding your prey. Yeah, definitely.
That'd be cool. Personally, I know I've always fallen back on this one, but it's a great one. I remember a while ago when we were playing GTA, I think it was 4 or maybe even 3, where we talked about there was that Jamaican character.
Yeah, One.
Yeah, imagine if he had a plasma rifle, has always been the image in my head. So, like maybe a GTA combined with a Mass Effect or something else that's on that level of that level of science fiction, but at a very gritty, low level where you're a drug dealer or a pimp or something, and you're flying around in these flying cars. Kind of GTA set in the city of Fifth Element, I reckon would be very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was going to say sort of Blade Runner-ish.
Yeah, Blade Runner-ish, Fifth Element-ish, maybe a bit brighter than Blade Runner. Yeah, I never really liked the art style of Blade Runner. But don't kill me, but
Oh.
yeah, closer to Fifth Element or Mass Effect. But yeah, just the idea of that guy ranting on in his Rasta talk, and then at the end of it, just charging up like a plasma grenade or a plasma rifle. That image has stuck with me for the last 2 years, and I've been waiting for someone to make that game. Prey 2 was supposed to be that game, but then that got cancelled, so unfortunately we never got that.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool. That sci-fi-ish sort of bent. I think it could go a lot of places.
Yeah, Saints Row always got close, but never quite. And Saints Row got too silly. I'd like a more grounded kind of.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you wanted it on that level of Saints Row sort of absurdity, or
more grounded, more GTA.
Yeah,
like have fun with it, but don't make yourself the president of the USA, like climbing a missile as it's in flight to the tune of "Don't Want to Miss a Thing." Still though, Saints Row 4 has the greatest use of licensed music between "Don't Want to Miss a Thing" and "What Is Love" in that game.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, excellent. Just back to Space Hulk quickly. Space Hulk Deathwing coming to PC December 9 and consoles next year. So currently undated for console release.
Cool.
And it looks amazing.
Cool. Thanks, Super Sleuth.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, that was good. Gerard, thanks for your email. If you want to email in your questions, please send them on to calmeriguana@gmail.com. That's calmeriguana@gmail.com. Also, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Stefan Iguana, and go ahead and like us there and follow us, and drop us any comments there if you have any feedback, any suggestions, any corrections, any recipes, any hot places to go and visit and have a drink at,
or make love in.
Yeah, or wear a glove in.
Wear a glove in.
Yeah. Now, sometimes you just really want to wear a nice glove, and you just want to go somewhere where you can wear that glove.
Wear me like a wristwatch.
A glove that fits, nice and snug. No extra room.
No extra room.
Yeah.
I've just realised as we close in on the end of the episode, I realised there's probably a few bits and pieces from PAX that we didn't get to cover off. Hopefully next week we'll have them jotted down. There was some good stuff around the Jackbox sort of stuff, and some other bits and pieces. It'd be good to
We should play the Jackbox and do a hot take on it.
We should play the Jackbox. We should do a stream with the Jackbox at some stage.
People can be audience members.
People can be the audience members. Yeah, that'd be really good. If you don't know Jackbox, go and have a look on YouTube or Google it. It's good fun. It's really good fun. So, but on that hot glove bombshell, I think that's going to do it for another week of the Calmer Iguana. Anything happening this week, guys? We want to talk about? Excited about?
Watch Dogs 2.
Yeah.
Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
The year of the sequel.
Dishonored 2. That's basically it for me for this week. A bit of a quieter week ahead, so it'll be good to get into that quite solidly.
Nice. Well, thank you for listening and joining in. Again, feel free, email us. And on iTunes, also, remember to subscribe and rate and review us. You get us some more stars, get us some reviews and likes on there. The more that we can do, the better we can be and the bigger we can grow. So yes, again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Cabana production.